welcome to this episode of Experts on Purpose. The special guest we have today is Susan Vernicek. Susan ignites mompreneurs who struggle to discover their balance between mom life and biz life. She helps them create a winning mompreneur mindset so that they can thrive at home and kill it in business without feeling guilty and letting go of the comparison game. As a certified mindset, life, fitness, and nutrition coach, Susan is best known as your Mindset Plus Achieve coach. She is a speaker, author, podcaster, creator of the wellness magazine called Identity Magazine, and she aspires to fully embody the notions of the modern day woman that she advocates for all women. Hey, Susan, welcome to Experts on Purpose.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm super happy. The minute we connected on your show a few weeks ago, I immediately knew that I had to bring you on into my podcast because I just love what you do, Susan. You are like this person who is such a shining example for all the moms out there who want to have both. They want to have a great mom life and they also want to kill it in their business. And you teach exactly that. So at what point of time, like just take us through your early stages of your career, what were you doing initially and how did you end up starting your business?
And how I started my business?
That's right.
Okay, so we're going to try to breeze through this because that is like, it's been 13 plus years since I started. And I started pre-kids, right? And so I had a whole other set of obstacles and pain points. And at that time, I was very sad. I guess you would say borderline depressed because I did have suicidal thoughts at the time. And I grew up in I had a childhood that we were surrounded with alcoholism, mental and verbal abuse. The anchor in my family was my mom. And sober, she wasn't an alcoholic at all. And she took care of everybody. And she drove us around all of our sports. And when my dad got cancer, she picked up a job and she started working. She stayed at that job for 30 years. So like, I owe it to her for overcoming so much. But when I started my business 13 years ago, I was rock bottom and I was struggling with all those emotions and all of the uncertainty of like, who am I? What do I want to do? And I had just come back from traveling the world and putting myself in debt because I was traveling the world and I was 65 pounds overweight. And then I was living back at home and I had this job that I was just miserable in. And in that 13 years ago, I was playing victim and blaming the world and having a pity party, a very, very long pity party until one day I had this aha moment of acceptance. And was like, well, wait, you actually had an extraordinary life traveling the world. You get to live at home for free. You made all these choices. I decided to travel. I decided to charge everything. I decided to eat Subway every night after I got off from bartending and party all night long. So that's why I'm unhealthy and out of shape, right? Like I had this moment of you made all these decisions and there was a consequence, right? And now I get to make a new decision. Do I want to continue blaming the world and having a pity party, or do I want to start changing my course and getting back into taking care of myself and getting out of this slump? And so I just remember it slowly started and I joined the gym. I used to go at 5:30 in the morning. And then I wanted to start this online magazine pretty much to heal myself. I wanted to journal. I wanted to share my stories. I felt like I was so alone and nobody understood why I was not happy in a 9-to-5 job in a gray cube. And I felt different because I felt like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I be happy with this? Right. And so I actually got a therapist and I started to do that kind of work. And then I started this online blog. And today it still exists. It's identitymagazine.net. And that just grew over time.
That's the Identity Magazine, right?
Identitymagazine.net. Yeah. And that was my outlet. That was like my healing. And then I threw myself into entrepreneurship and it just became this passion. And I just went all in and I asked a ton of questions and I had a lot of mentors and took entrepreneurship classes. And I worked in the morning at my lunch break and after my job, my 9-to-5 job. And it just, evolved, as you know, and then you look back, you're like, holy cow, look how far. Like I was closing $40,000 contracts for advertising and content marketing and partnering with companies. And it was really, really fun. And I left my job, my graphic design job 5 years after. I was there for 5 years. And then I transitioned out. And then that's when I started my speaking career, published my books. And those books, my first book was the pivotal moment of my speaking career. I mean, it created this interactive workshop and my signature formula, get all A's in the game of life. And I traveled the world. I got paid to speak and it just evolved. And now here I am 13 and a half years later. And the magazine does its own thing. It's evolved a lot, but still has revenues from a little bit of advertising, but it's set up differently. And then I still continue to travel and speak. I've got 3 books and I now coach mompreneurs and I do one-on-one. And then I have my Mindset and Achieve course and coaching program. So it's a long journey from like rock bottom to, thriving and then hitting a new set of obstacles when I became a mom of twins.
Right. I mean, what I really admire, Susan, is a lot of people tell their backstory and then how amazing their life is right now. But you also mentioned all the things that you did in between, like going to the gym and starting to work out, working with a therapist, working with coaches, attending all these different programs, in developing yourself. I think that is the key, right? Once you make that decision to change, you start investing in yourself and make that small little change on a regular basis. And over a period of time, it becomes such a massive thing that you've achieved.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest struggles we all face in everything that we want to achieve. We want these quick, impactful moments. We want the quick change, but you've got to be committed to the long game. And you've got to be embracing and know that every day you show up to be your best self, right? It's not always going to be perfect, but if you keep getting up and doing the little things of personal growth, personal development, self-awareness, and in my case, I teach the A-game formula, that compounds and you ultimately will get to your result. It's only when we give up and quit is when we won't reach it. But if you keep continuing to stay the course, you will get there. You will get there.
Absolutely. So what happened when your twins were born?
Okay. So, the biggest thing when we give birth and we're first time moms is like, holy crap, I have to keep another human alive. And, and I remember I have 2 and I'm trying to figure out how to be a mom. And at the time, my husband's a soccer coach. And so I gave birth in June, and that's when he's like hardcore camps for the university. And then he gets right into preseason. So he wasn't even around. Like he was pulling all-nighters, and because I was coming to visit me at the hospital. And then when it was time to come home, he was in preseason. So it was me for majority of the time. He was only home from 11:30 at night to 6 o'clock in the morning and right back at it. So I was at this, learning to be a mom, learning how to nurse and take care of twins and healing, that you just, it's like our default. We forget about us. Right. And I think it's so common, and we forget to take care of ourselves. We don't shower, we forget to eat, and it's part of the transition. I'm not saying like that's going to happen, I think, for the majority of people, because it's a transition. It's learning a new season, and we have to give grace to that period. But if we can catch it earlier, and by listening to podcasts or by us moms sharing advice, if they're asking us for advice, it's like, whatever you do, find something small each day to take care of yourself still, to fill your cup. Because the longer we don't, it's the same thing that will compound, and we'll get so comfortable in ignoring who we are and putting ourselves on the back burner that ultimately you're going to hurt yourself. It's like you can go to the doctor for your annual checkups every year, or your dentist, right? And stay on top of things. or you don't go and you could miss something that's been building up over and over and over. And that's why it's so important for us to be proactive. And for me, because of just ignoring to take care of myself, ignoring to sleep, ignoring to eat right. I wasn't exercising like I was when I was pregnant. I ended up getting Bell's palsy. And I ended up hurting my back. And I hurt my back basically because of 2 cribs, the pack and play, picking up, putting down, and not doing it properly, but also not taking care of myself. So I wasn't strong. My muscles were weak and I didn't have nutrients in my body. So it was all impacting, it's all integrated. And so if we can not do that sooner, we'll be better off, right? And that's what happened to me. I just had a whole new set of pain points and obstacles. And there was one moment when I was in my living room and I was just like exhausted and in so much pain to the point where I couldn't put my own pants on and I couldn't get out of bed. I would literally have to like roll out of my bed to get up. And my husband had to help me because that's how bad my back was. And I said, what are you doing?
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I had to tell this, Susan. When somebody sees your workout videos today, they won't imagine it is the same person who was struggling to get out of the bed.
I know. Exactly. It's insane. I know. And I've had so many obstacles even now, I just had the timing of this recording. I just had surgery and I just got the green light to start walking. So I'm again, just at the very beginning stages of walking. But that's part of the journey. And so if we can, I was in the living room and I just had this, again, the moment of like choices, reactivate your A game, Susan. You teach this stuff. You teach self-acceptance, accepting responsibility to be resourceful, to do the work, right? Appreciating this very moment as a lesson, as an awareness and pushing me, poking me. What are you going to do? Are you going to continue to be in pain, ignore your health? I couldn't even pick up my babies. Or are you going to do something about it? And so I called the doctor and I set up the MRI and I went to physical therapy. I did the physical therapy work at home, which most people don't do. And I went all in healing and taking care of myself. And then that is when I started my new workout routine. And then I got certified in 2 nutrition programs just to help really educate and take control of my knowledge, right? And the power so that I can slowly overturn this new way of living as a mom and a mompreneur.
Fantastic, Susan. What I also noticed, Susan, is a lot of people go through difficult times in their lives and they overcome that. They do whatever it takes to, improve their life, and then they move on. But very few people like you look at it as a divine message that, okay, this happened to me, I did it, but it's now my responsibility to help other moms so that they don't have to go through this. So at what stage did you feel that you're already teaching the A-game formula, right? So when did you decide to customize that for moms and create this entire business around it?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it just slowly evolved. When I started speaking, that was when my formula, transforming through self-acceptance, appreciation, and personal achievement, those 3 A's, that's when it started to develop. I started with 5 questions. And now it's the three-step formula, the A-game formula. But when I started and I would go and speak to conferences and I would have weekend retreats and my workshops, and what I was seeing, women were transforming and they were having these moments of shifts, like they were getting new jobs, they were changing careers, they were losing weight, and they would message me. I'm like, oh, wow. They were filling in all the gaps in their lives and they were learning to get their consistency, find what they wanted and go after it, right? Take control of their life emotionally, physically, and financially. And so that just developed over the years, which is why I ended to add the supporting knowledge and get certifications in life, mindset, and nutrition, just because I was doing it and I understood what, for me, learning more whys and science behind it helped me embrace it more and connect it and have a stronger why to doing it. And so when it just evolved over the years. And then, you know, as you grow in business, people say, okay, well, who do you enjoy working with? Like, as you start to narrow, and I loved it working with everybody. I can work with all sorts of women, but as being, you know, being a mom and loving business, teaching business and supporting businesses, as well as like the self-care and I love family. I'm big on family. I'm big on hanging out with family and doing family events. That's when it was like, okay, if I can do this, and I see so many moms struggling to have self-care, whatever their consistent self-care looks like defining that for them, family quality time, like not having to choose between work, there's no more tug of war, and having a profitable business, like if it's possible. And so that started to reveal to me. And then it was Mompreneurs was a term that just somebody was like, why don't you help mompreneurs? I'm like, yeah, mompreneurs, mom bosses, right? And moms that run a business.
Right.
And that's how it just evolved. And so, and then it just closed, right? Like as you lean in and do the work, the how, like it all reveals itself. It just naturally unravels, right? Like we don't always need to know how. We want to be committed to who we want to be and why we're doing it. And the how will always reveal and will always come. And so over time, it was the mompreneurs. And then it's like these three buckets: self-care, family, friend, community, right? That quality time, and a profitable business, that you can have both without being overwhelmed, overworked, or burned out or exhausted. And I love it. So I live it and I teach it using a lot of my tools and strategies, and leading with my A game formula in that approach to acquiring those three buckets in your mompreneur life.
Amazing. What I understood here, Susan, is you really don't have to have everything sorted in order to start something. I'm sure you didn't have these buckets when you initially thought that you want to serve mompreneurs, but by constantly serving the people you like, things just evolve and they keep getting better and better over a period of time.
Yes. So totally. And it's so fun. Like if you approach it with having fun and being curious and practicing always listening. That was one of my most struggling pieces, is like really listening and using that information, right? Like I used to ignore it and just do things. But over time, I've learned how to like slow down and just listen and take in the people who I love working with. Like, what are their struggles? What are they doing? And then finding the common piece. And one of the common things is like the guilt and comparison. And so like when we talk about the buckets of self-care, family quality time, and a profitable business, a lot of times it's self-care. That's the piece that always goes first, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's having your own back and not feeling guilty or comparing yourself or beating yourself up. If, for instance, you say you're going to move your body, however that looks like for you, on Thursday and you don't, who cares? Yeah, you have two choices. You do it later in the day or you start again tomorrow. And it's just letting go of the drama and that all day in your head. Oh my God, I can't believe I overslept. Oh my God, I can't believe I missed my workout. Oh my God. And you're carrying it all day long, and that's impacting everything else in your life. And it's just making it miserable. It's like, just let it go. You missed it. You hit the snooze button. You get to choose if you want to work out later, if you want to get home, or you just start again tomorrow. You try again tomorrow. Right. And it's just like playing this balance game, bridging the gaps between mom life and your biz life. And we get to decide it. And we get to choose if we're going to feel guilty, if we're going to beat ourselves up, or if we're going to live in this comparison game or not. And so that's what I love teaching. It's learning how to approach it and with awareness and honesty, and learning how to actually navigate your mindset so that you can achieve, which is why I call my stuff Mindset and Achieve, my course, Mindset and Achieve course and coaching program, because anything you want to achieve, results, it's connected to your thoughts and your mindset. It's always connected. And so we want to increase our awareness of our thoughts and our brain, our inner chatter, our conversations, and evaluate that. And then there's a process that I teach to help navigate it properly so that you're not ignoring or numbing, but you're leaning in with awareness, and you're using this tool to break through so that you can achieve with fun, fulfillment, and excitement, not like achieve on autopilot and like just checking your to-do list, done, with no emotions, right?
Yeah.
Like we choose to be mompreneurs. We choose to have businesses. We choose to write books. Let's have fun doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point, right? At the end of the day, you put in so much of effort and you really don't have fun while doing it. Then again, it all feels like a burden and you get into that guilt mode all over again.
Yeah.
Right? So you were mentioning about the Mindset Plus Achieve coaching program. So for all the mompreneurs listening to this or watching this episode, could you just quickly walk us through what does it look like? Is it a coaching program? Is it a mastermind? What is it exactly?
Yes, it's a group coaching program, and it's pretty much it's a one of a kind program. It's all inclusive. It's like your one-stop shop, and it's a course. So women mompreneurs enroll, and they are self-led through a 12-week, 90-day course that takes them through my A game formula. And as they go through that, they also have 24/7 private support through a Facebook group. They have access to me weekly with office hours. Every week they have the opportunity to pop in on office hours and get coached or, ask anything for MomLife or BizLife, and with like-minded women. We have bonus training. I have guest experts all the time come in, and everything is saved and recorded in the portal. They have access to templates like money blueprint templates. They have access to nutrition plans that I've gotten with my certifications and that I've taught and that I've done and implemented myself, and like shortcutting their mompreneur lives. And it's so fun. It's been so fun. So they have the opportunity to join it at like a self-paced level,
right,
and they're guided. It's like a drip course where they can't jump ahead. They go in order. And then they've got the support 24/7 in the group with other like-minded women. And then I have a VIP where some want me every week with the course. And so they have one-on-one coaching, and we follow along the program. But in our one-on-one coaching, anything is game. Well, sometimes I'm hands-on with my clients, helping them put together a landing page of their website, or we're talking mindset and drama and like thoughts that are blocking them from taking action and achieving. So it's so fun.
Right. I totally believe in working with a coach and going through their programs rather than trying to do everything ourselves, because we may get all the information through a Google search, but that doesn't mean we are going to implement that, right? And a coach really, really helps in not just the accountability, but as you just mentioned, there are these blocks which I may not recognize, but when a coach tells me that, hey, this is where you feel you're not really thriving, then there are some blocks that need to be dealt with, that would be like an aha moment for people working with you, right?
Yeah, I know. The biggest thing is like, the way I love having different brains, right? Like we want more brains. I have 4 or 5. I mean, you could say I have 5 coaches if you want to consider like my marketing team, right? But I have coaches, and I love having their brains. And I love when they call out something that I said and they're like, whoa, you just said this. What does that mean? And you're like, oh, yeah, you're right. Like we don't catch our own BS. And because we're so on autopilot, right? Like we don't really pay attention. So when you have somebody, even just like when people hire you for their publishing, you're such an expert in that field that you can catch when we have limiting beliefs in our processes and in how we approach it and what we want to say, right? And that's the beauty of hiring coaches that are even just a little bit further than you are on your journey, because like you said, it definitely shortens your path and figuring it all out on yourself. And it's so much more fun doing it when you have the accountability.
So true. Yeah. What are some of your personal self-care routines that you do, Susan?
Oh, okay. So I love the mornings, and they shift because I have seasons depending on my husband. Right now I'm in a healing stage because I just had surgery, but my
Right.
mornings really always are like movement. Usually
Mm-hmm.
it's lifting and working out. I read at least 10 minutes a day,
Mm-hmm.
and I do my appreciations, gratitudes every day because there's science that backs it and
Yeah.
it works. It's actually part of my program as well. And so I have my appreciations, I have my reading and my workouts. And then those are the main things that I do every morning for my
Hmm.
routine. And then my day, whatever my day looks like.
Awesome. And it's really amazing to see the compounding effect of this, right? When you consistently do this over a period of time, it just puts you in the right mindset. You feel happier about yourself. So everything
Yeah.
else that you do will be in a state of flow rather than you having to really fight against things and get things done.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And we have the choice. Like when I was writing my book, the time that I'm most creative and alert is in the early morning, right? When
Yeah.
everybody's sleeping, it's peaceful. I play some music, I have a candle lit. And so instead of working out first thing, I would write,
Yeah.
right? So I would make my coffee and then I would go and I would write for 30 minutes and then I would do my workout. So like our
Mhm.
morning routines, our self-care, we can define them and then we get to create when that happens. But it's also important to be adaptable and adjustable when you have different goals and different seasons. And
Yeah.
that is like when you're open to change and knowing and embracing the flow of things, it makes things so much easier with that less resistance, right? So many people are like, when am I going to write a book or when am I going to
Mhm.
work out, Susan? Right? And it's like, well, if you want it bad enough, when is your best time and how committed are you to making that happen? And that's a conversation that I always have with my clients. Like, how committed are you to publishing a book? How committed are you to having your self-care, filling your cup so
Hmm.
that you are thriving, that you feel alive, that you feel good and you have more energy and you have endurance for this mompreneur life?
Yeah.
And when is that? So, and what does that look like for you? And when you're going to fit that in? So I love that. And I think that's, a honest question that people have to ask themselves. It's like, what do you want and how committed are you to figuring it out?
Yeah. And the other thing that I love about what you said is one self-care routine doesn't have to be fitting everybody, right? Everybody is different. They're in different phases of their life. And we should be absolutely okay to customize it according to what suits us and not just follow an Instagram influencer who is saying that this is the best thing to do, but
Right.
instead just totally customizing it to our needs and being committed to that.
Yes. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. And to know that you're going to try a bunch of things to
Yeah.
figure it out, to
Because unless
figure
you
what,
try, you won't know.
yeah. And that, like, that's how I figured out. Like, I didn't know, I never thought that I would love working out at home. I used to go to the gym. I used to go to the gym and I used to pay for a trainer. And now I pay $8 a month. And I've actually been in the best shape of my life mentally and physically over the last 7 years from at home. And I would have never known if I didn't try. And there's so many benefits for me as a mompreneur. I mean, the timing is everything too, right? Like I couldn't go to a gym with twins, right? I couldn't, I could have, but I didn't want to lug them around. I didn't want all that extra time of getting ready, loading them up, going to a gym, getting them into daycare, going to the locker room, put everything away, then going to figuring out what am I going to do today? What body part or, then you're fighting over the machines. Like that is so much wasted, exhausting energy.
Yeah.
Like even just speaking it, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Whereas at home, all I have to do is pick a program. I follow the program start to finish, right? I do my best to follow the course. I have a personal trainer in my ear. I'm an adult. I can listen and I can follow directions. And that's it. It eliminates so much other wasted drama and energy and decision. Actually I gain more time. I gain more energy, more focus, and I get better results.
Amazing. I saw you mention somewhere about the one magic rule in business. Could you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Okay. So that's my 40%, the 40% rule. And that's tied a little bit to the science of happiness. So there's like three components to your happiness. It's 50% of your happiness is DNA and your genetics. 10% of your happiness is circumstance, based off circumstance. So if you catch yourself saying, I'll be happier when, or I'll be happy when X, Y, and Z, more money, less money, in a different, moving, that's really only 10%, because we all have, I'm not going to get into this because this is like a whole other, but we all have a set point of our happiness. And so if we think we're going to move to a different state and we're going to be happier, or if we think we're going to be happier with $100,000, that we'll feel that happiness for a moment of time. But then we ultimately go back to your set point of happiness if you aren't working on yourself, if you're not like into personal growth and into this awareness stuff. The third number is the 40%. 40% of your happiness is your thoughts and your actions. And so my rule is hang out in 40%. Always question yourself. Am I hanging out in my 40%? What are my thoughts and my actions? What are they saying? What are they representing? Are they in alignment towards the goals that I want? And so the rule is living in the 40% rule, like following the 40%. And so, and the science, the book is The How of Happiness. I read this years ago when I was in therapy. It was like one of my very first books of reading for my growth. And they say when you focus on the 40%, it will actually overturn the 50% and the 10%. And so we want, that's the number one rule that I always, and I teach this in my course too, is like the 40% thoughts and actions, your thoughts and your actions. And if you think about it, that is what's driving your happiness. That's what's driving your experience in life and your experience with others. And that's what's creating the results that you have in your life. And so that's the rule, 40% rule.
Really cool, because I think this is something that is in total control, right? That we can achieve it if we want to.
Yes. Yeah. And what's so beautiful about, like, when they talk about the 50% being your DNA, like when you look at my family dynamics, like I grew up in an alcoholic family, right? And I'm the youngest of 7, and there was so much dynamic. There was so much, so much, right? So many layers. But now you look at, because of the work that I've done, because of the 40% of the thoughts and the actions, my children are experiencing different. I'm not over drinking. I don't yell. I don't verbally or mentally abuse them. I don't hit them. I don't push them, right? And so in a sense, I'm changing the genetics and the DNA by generations, which is so cool. And when we can think about that for ourselves and like how these little things that we do every day impact like for generations. If you're open to that, you can see that. And for me, that just makes me want to show up even more. And that's what like anchors me into not giving up.
Right. This is such a different way of looking at it, because when it comes to self-care, most women get into that guilt zone because we feel that, do we really deserve it? We have so many responsibilities. Where can I take time for all the other things? But by actually being happy, we are nurturing the next generation to be happier. And that's such a great way to give back to the world by just taking good care of ourselves.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love it. Yes.
Thank you so much, Susan. It's such a pleasure to just, be in conversation with you. So where can our listeners and viewers find out more about all the amazing stuff you do?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for having me. The most direct way is SusanVernicek.com. Everything is there. You can find everything, even the magazine, the podcast, which is Your A Game podcast, my books, my coaching, everything. SusanVernicek.com.
Fantastic. We'll have the link right below in the show notes. And thank you once again for coming on Experts on Purpose.
Thank you so much. So much fun.